Hey guys, I just wanted to welcome you to my very first video presentation. My name is Anthony Delanuez, and welcome to the China and North Korea situation. I'm just going to be talking about, guys, China's role in maintaining its national interests, in particular when it comes to such things like migration, denuclearization, and also opposing the U.S. and its allies, not just strategically, but also trying to outmaneuver them at the negotiating table, and also the fact that they have to deal with what I like to call the single entity, which is Kim Jong Un, or I like to call him Lil Kim. But I'll be talking about that, guys, in the presentation, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. Once again, I wish you guys the best of luck, and let's go right into it. Hey guys, in this one, I was going to talk about my research topic. So my research topic really just pertained to China's having the upper hand in a lot of the decision making in relation to North Korea, and China, which I believed had the most to gain and lose than any other faction in both short and long term. And also, I believe that truly, and you could call this a more realist theory, was a more rational and logical thinking leader, current President Xi Jinping, would allow China to gain the geopolitical advantage over their opposing adversary in the Asia Pacific region. So the region pertaining to Japan, Korea Peninsula, anywhere in the Pacific Ocean close to the Chinese mainland, is where I was going to focus on. Hey guys, in this slide, guys, I was going to talk about the Asia Pacific breakdown, as I had briefly mentioned earlier. In this one, I wanted to talk about China's main opposing adversary, which was the United States. Obviously, we know the United States is a main superpower in the world, and China hopes to at least get to that level or surpass it. Um, North Korea provides China with so many benefits, more of a strategic level. North Korea provides a buffer zone between the U.S. and China. Obviously, we know Japan is pretty much like an aircraft carrier carrying tens of thousands of troops, of U.S. troops on the island, and is a national security threat to China. And also South Korea, which is a U.S. supported ally, is pretty much right on the DMZ. We have tens of thousands of U.S. troops and other South Korean troops. So the worst thing for China would be for having these allies close by. North Korea provides that buffer zone, keeps them at bay, and secures that I guess smaller alliance between the two nations against the U.S. And so that's something obviously to think about. Hey guys, so in this slide I called developments. Here, guys, we kind of see why um, I had said that North Korea relies so heavily on China, being that North Korea trades over 90% of its overseas trade is with China, either through by sea or through the border crossing the Yalu River. Um, um, what pretty much ensures that whatever North Korea does is going to involve China in whatsoever, in every way. Um, so that's something obviously to think about. And then China's um, requires that North Korea be that stone between them and the U.S. Um, One brief thing I want to mention also is the migration crisis, which to me is both a short and long term implication. Obviously, a unified Korea would be pretty bad for China, because of the fact that that would literally put the U.S. and other Western allies up close right on your border, and that's something you just don't want if you have your national interest at stake. Um, but the migrant crisis provides so many problems for China. Organizing these specific refugees where and where to have them, also assimilating them into Chinese society after being in a totalitarian state is very difficult. Um, is very difficult, so that's obviously something that you want to think about both short and long term. Hey guys, so in this slide, I'm going to be talking about the current state of North Korea and their regime. In my particular paper, especially in my video presentation, I usually refer to North Korea or Kim Jong Un for that matter as kind of like a single entity. Um, he's kind of like a wild card if you want to sort of put it into different terms um, to China because he provides so many both benefits and disadvantages. So we could say, obviously, North Korea pretty much follows, or Kim Jong Un follows a different kind of self-reliance, or juche, they like to say, since he took power in 2011, meaning they pretty much disregard whatever China says and launch their own ballistic missiles, and they've done that multiple times, which has really distanced their relationship slowly and has eroded it a little bit over the last few years. Um, and then obviously also we can talk about the nuclear crisis, which is the huge issue. If North Korea is able to build intercontinental ballistic missiles or ICBMs, this is a huge deal. Not only is the U.S. put into a position where they are desperate, but China must now realize that North Korea or Kim Jong Un is turning this into a hot war, something they can ill afford to have in the long run. Meaning, this would allow countries like the U.S. and other allies of the U.S. to kind of be forced into uh, having to take action against this single entity and the North Korean state entirely, and would help unify Korea, which is something China does not want. Hey guys, so in this slide, I'm going to be calling it Working Their Magic. This is where I really get into the grit and grind of it, where China can really establish themselves as a serious political threat to the U.S. Um, like I had said before, the U.S. is now being put into a desperate position, which allows China to kind of really maneuver their way and really kind of do whatever they want. Um, Meaning, if the U.S. is so desperate to eliminate the nuclear threat of North Korea, that means China can then ask for certain things. Let's say China wants to ask, hey, remove your troops from the South Korean border. Maybe the U.S. would be tempted to do so. Hey, if Korea is unified, I want you completely off the peninsula, and I want certain other economic expansions. We have a new Silk Road we'd like to expand on. We don't want any sanctions on that. We have, let's say, other economic alliances with other Asian Pacific countries like the Philippines and Malaysia that we'd like to open up and are currently, let's say, difficult to deal with because of a certain power like the U.S. involved in that. Uh, there's also, let's say, China wants its priorities, and having to deal with obviously those priorities would deal with exactly the U.S. So you kind of want to um, use this opportunity to leverage yourself and do whatever you have to do. Hey guys, so in my final slide, I decided to call it wrap up, and kind of wanted to deviate a little bit away from what we had been talking about, and focus more on what we talk about briefly in class. Um, the ultimate thing to understand from this is that conflict is not a good thing. War is not good. Um, as our professor said, being South Korean, um, he would not want a conflict. And he knows that the immediate result of that is the massive loss of life of something that, frankly, the media outlets here in the US don't talk about, which is the loss of life of many South Koreans. We have to remember that Seoul is very close to the capital. I mean, Seoul, which is the capital of South Korea, is very close to the DMZ, and so is a hugely giant risk. And unless we're trying to break the record of the deadliest conflict in history, which was World War II, I would say that the negotiating table is our best friend. And as I'd written before in one of the slides, um, history has shown us that no one nation follows a certain path, and so therefore we can't really assume that any one nation will take action when it's threatened. Every nation obviously has its own interest and must defend itself. I really want to thank you guys for watching my video. I hope you guys giving me a great grade, but be honest. Um, and I really want to wish you guys the best following semester. And if anybody graduates, congratulations. Thank you and have a great day, guys.